Start winning at the races with Daily Racing Form's new Mobile Pass performances, featuring exclusive buyer speed figures and expert analysis and selections. Go to drf.com/best and get the power of DRF in the palm of your hand. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 10 at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Oaks Friday is the Grade 2 Alysheba Stakes. Let's take a look at the field. Some nice older horses going 1 mile and a 16th. McKinsey, the number 2, is your 8-5 second choice. He's banked almost $3.5 million in his career. By my standards, the number 6 has been in very good form all year long. Maybe turning back in distance helps by my standards.
It might. It certainly is going to help him to get away from Tom Tata as well. A horse, by my standards, is having a pretty good 4-year-old year so far.
I think this is a really key Timeform US pace projector that we're going to throw up right now. Blue bar scenario in Timeform US parlance, that means they believe this race will favor horses on or near the early lead. And I agree. Bodie Express is in here for one reason. It's going to be to get to the front. Bodie Express's current form, Mike, though, is rather questionable. If Mr. Freeze, who for some reason didn't show any speed last time out in the Met Mile, shows his usual speed, he's going to be in a great spot just off Bodie Express, isn't he?
Yeah, it feels like he can get a really good trip in this race. I mean, if nothing else, as far as Bodie Express goes, I mean, I have to believe they're going to try to make the lead this time. I don't know what their plan was in the Aladar last time at Saratoga in a short field where they didn't send him. This time they will send him.
It could certainly be that Bodie Express, if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't go. If he doesn't want to go in the gate, he doesn't go in the gate. You know, there are 3 things you can depend on in life: death, taxes, and Bodie Express throwing a fit behind the gate. I expect that to happen in the Alysheba. He's a very hard horse to ride, but yeah, I think he's going to try to make the lead in here. Silver Dust is another horse that might appreciate turning back in distance. Boy, they try him at 1 mile and an 1/8 an awful lot, and he always tries his heart out in those races. It's just too far for him, and usually he's just facing better horses at 1 mile and an 1/8. He was no match for Tom's Dayton by my standards last time out, but he turns back in distance here with good tactical speed.
I agree. The shorter distance definitely works to his advantage. But I'll tell you something, based on the races he's been running too, Dan, he was really good in the Blame Two back. 15-1 on the morning line. That'd be pretty hard to resist on this horse. He's a nice fit in this race, and he could get a really good trip in here.
McKinsey's had a pretty underrated career, all things considered. Placed first in the Los Al Futurity as a 2-year-old, winner of the Pennsylvania Derby in Malibu at 3, winner of the Whitney at 4, and second in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He threw in a stinker in the Saudi Cup in his first start this year, but he rebounded when they turned him back in distance. You and I've always liked him as kind of a 7 furlong mile, maybe mile and a 16th horse. Last time out in the Met Mile, I think he was compromised by a lack of pace.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly was. The pace was not fast for that level of horse. He was back off of it, rating early, and then he was wide on the turn. You know, he didn't kick that hard in the stretch. I thought that was, you know, mildly disappointing from him. But otherwise, I don't know how much of a chance he really had. His Triple Bend, to me, looked like nothing more than a prep race, so I don't really care that he only earned a 98 buyer there. I mean, listen, is he a little better going shorter? Yeah. Can he get 8.5 and 9 furlongs with the best horses around? Yeah, he can. I mean, if he runs his good race, he's going to be really tough in here.
Owen Dale, the number 3, just didn't fire in the Stephen Foster last time out against Tom's Dayton. I think part of that was there just wasn't a lot of pace on for him. And you look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race, and well, there may not be a lot of pace on for him as well. If you give him pace, Owen Dale is the kind of horse that can make a strong run at a decent price. He's not too far behind the 2 big names in this race, I think, in class.
I agree with that. I would not discount this horse at all if he's a price in this race, and we'll see how they wind up betting it. Yeah, the trip is going to be very important to him, and he's going to want somebody to at least go a halfway decent pace in front to set up his late run, but this is a very good horse.
This is a big surprise entrant to me. The number 4 Hence has not been seen in over a year, and now he's being thrown in against McKinsey and By My Standards by a trainer, Jack Sisterson, who knows what he is doing. Hence was always a very honest, solid horse. Never thought of him as really a grade 1 or grade 2 type before the layoff. Now with the addition of blinkers, he's going to have to do this off of over a year layoff. It's a really tough ask.
Yeah, they're just asking a lot of this horse, and we'll see what he does in here. You're right that he's got some races that are actually pretty good, but he's in a very, very tough spot here.
Mr. Freeze, 3 starts back, going a 1-turn mile at Gulfstream, ran a hole in the wind. 107 Buyer speed figure. Certainly not the first time he's run a triple-digit number. He's got 5 of them in his career. He was under a very confident ride that day. He looked good. They ran him in the Oaklawn handicap. I was a bit surprised how conservatively ridden he was early in that race, and he ran an okay third at a distance that's a little far for him. I don't know what went on in the Met Mile last time out. I thought he was going to be on or close to the pace, and he never got close to it. What happened?
I don't know. He just didn't have his usual speed in there because when you watch the race back, Manny Franco, who was riding, did try to get him forward in there, and he just didn't make it. At the end of the day, Dan, I just don't want to be too hard on him for the Met Mile. Not that I didn't think he would run well in there, because I did. But facing horses like that, I'm not going to be too hard on this horse to, getting beat less than 5 lengths anyway. I thought his race 2 back, all things considered, the trip that he got, the ride that he got, and the pace of that race, I don't think he ran that much poorly than By My Standards did in there, actually. That was a pretty good effort from this horse. And prior to that, it was one fast race after another.
The consistent By My Standards is the number 6, only off the board once in his career, that in the trouble-laden Kentucky Derby of 2019. Let's watch the Whitney last time out. He was caught in a tough spot in here because there was no pace. Improbable got the jump on him turning into the stretch. I like the fact that By My Standards tried real hard all the way down to the wire. No one was catching Improbable the way this race set up.
I mean, he ran fine in this race, I thought. You can see he's not threatening Improbable. He finished his second. He did not run the second best race with Tom Zatat having real trouble at the start. But I don't want to be too hard on him. He ran fine in there. His Stephen Foster was also fine. He was no match for Tom Zatat. Listen, he's going to be one of the favorites in here. He can obviously win. I'm just not, sold on this horse. His 2 big wins earlier in the year, the New Orleans Classic and the Oakland Handicap, he ran well, but he got the softest possible trips in those races. And I just feel like it could be a little different here. He can win, but I'm betting somebody else in this race if he's going to be one of the favorites.
Let's watch Title Ready's last race. His first start in almost a year. Boy, Dallas Stewart did a great job in getting this horse ready off the layoff. Short stretch at Keeneland, going 1 mile and a 16th. This horse came from last. Yes, he got a really good pace scenario, and Title Ready did something he didn't do at all in 2019. He showed a willingness to finish it off and get his head down in front. The lack of pace, if you believe the Timeform US pace scenario, works against him.
It does. He ran well in that race. I really liked that performance from him last time. And he had run some pretty good races in Stakes Company prior to that, even though he didn't win very often. I don't know. I feel like this is probably too tough for him considering how strong this field came up, but I can see using this horse somewhere to get a piece.
It was very surprising, as you mentioned in the open, that Bodie Express did not go to the front last time out in the Alley-Dar, considering there was not a lot of pace in the race, and Bodie Express lacked a little bit of punch. 2 back in the Howell's Hope, well, he went very, very fast, and he got run down by a couple of long shots. I'm just not sure where he is from a form standpoint. If you look at that Timeform US pace projector and believe he's going to run his best race, well, the pace projector gives him the best chance to do so if he is loose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how his connection could have any other plan than just to come out of there running, clear to the lead in here, and then just see what happens. Even if they do that, Dan, it doesn't make him good enough to beat this field. And I'm starting to wonder if he really is this kind of horse. But they have to put him on the lead this time.
I agree with you. I also think your top selection in this race, as we take a look at our picks, Mr. Freeze, is going to work out a really nice trip. And there's a chance, Mike, that Mr. Freeze inherits this thing turning into the stretch. And we'll see how good McKenzie is. We'll see if he's back into the 2019 form of McKenzie. And we'll see how good By My Standards is. If he is as good as he looked earlier this year, you're going to get your price.
Yeah, that's mostly the reason why I took him. I do think he's going to get a good trip, and I do think his good race makes him tough in here. And I say that only believing that if McKenzie doesn't run his best race, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that McKenzie's good race is going to beat this field. But there are reasons to wonder whether or not McKenzie is still that good. And if he's not, Mr. Freeze can beat him.
I respect By My Standards consistency. I hate the fact that he's lower on the morning line than McKenzie. I hope maybe they flip-flop a little bit and he drifts. I think if the pace is slow, he can get a little bit closer than Timeform US anticipates, and that could help him out in this race. Mike's going 5-2-3-6. I'm going 6-5-2-1. It's the Grade 2 Alysheba, and it is race number 10 on Kentucky Oaks Friday.